and welcome here to Talk Tennis, and a big thank you to each and every one of you today who are right here joining me on the channel. I have been absolutely blown away by the response from all of you. Absolutely incredible comments, amazing support right here, so thank you indeed for that. What we're going to be doing today is a bit of a crossover between tennis and Barça. We're going to be looking at tennis players who have some kind of link to the club, and I think this video right here, it's going to help you. Whether you're an experienced fan there of tennis, you might learn a thing or two that maybe you didn't know in today's video, or if you are brand new to the sport and maybe you're looking to find your player, this video could come in handy if you want a bit of a Barça connection. So sit back, relax right now, and let's jump into it. Because let's first of all kick off with one of the highest profile names in the sport. It is Rafa Nadal, who is a huge football fan himself. He could have actually played professionally in the game of football, but instead he chose to play tennis, and well, that's a decision that has worked out pretty well for him. But what is interesting about Rafa is that he does have really strong links to Barça, and yet he does not support them, because even despite his uncle playing for Barça, Rafa Nadal's uncle Miguel Angel Nadal played for the club, and he was a serious player too. He spent 8 seasons and won 14 titles at the club. He was even part of the historic Barça team who won their first ever European Cup at Wembley, and Rafa has even been out on the field at the Camp Nou. He's been out there wearing a Barça jersey in and around his uncle for many years, and yet he's a Madridista. He supports Real Madrid. His family there have always supported the club, particularly there his father, and so that is where he's pledged his allegiance. Although Rafa has said that since his uncle played for Barça, his family are a bit divided now in terms of their support. But let's go with another name then. Let me tell you about Casper Ruud. This is a 25-year-old Norwegian who is a 3-time Grand Slam finalist. He's been twice finalist at the French Open, where he lost to Rafa himself and then to Novak Djokovic, so 2 pretty difficult finals you'd have to say there, and then once at the US Open, where Carlos Alcaraz completed his incredible triumph in 2022. But this man is a big Barça fan, because as you can see right here, this tweet translates as follows: I have never seen a team get away with more penalties and red cards than Real Madrid. So you can see right there, Casper is one of us, and he's a really good guy. All the players on tour speak really highly of him. He had a bit of a tough year last year by his high standards. He had a lot of points to defend, which I think weighed on him a little bit. That's seen him just drop out of the top 10 right now, but I'm sure he's going to be knocking on the door again, particularly on clay this season. Keep an eye on him. Before we must come on to talk now about Andrei Rublev. This man is a rock star. He is world number 5, winner of 15 ATP titles. He is the Monte Carlo Masters champion, and he has an Olympic gold medal, and he's somebody who actually not only trains but also lives in Barcelona. He watches and attends matches whenever he gets a spare moment as well, which in the life of a tennis player is not really that often, but he was actually invited to the Camp Nou back in 2021. He actually met up here, as you can see, with Joan Laporta. He spoke then about his passion for the club, watching the Copa del Rey final in 2021, being excited about the team winning it, and he's also worked with Gerard Piqué in the past. And I just want to say, guys, on Rublev, if you are looking for a player, if you're new to the sport of tennis, and you want to see somebody who will give you every conceivable emotion watching him play, Rublev is your man. Because out on the court, he leaves everything out there, and I mean everything. You can often find him actually battling his own demons, actually fighting against himself and his own emotions rather than his opponent. He is somebody who wants to win, wants success so badly, and he's one of the most hard-working players that you will find. But incredibly, outside the court, despite some of the energy and the frustration you might see on the court, off it, he is honestly one of the nicest and most genuine players that you would ever wish to come across. He's an infectious character, which brings us on to Daria Kasatkina. This is actually a very good friend of Andrei Rublev. She also trains and lives in Barcelona herself. She has 5 titles, a French Open semi-finalist in 2022, and she's incredibly consistent. Another really hard-working player, puts in the hours, puts in the effort every single match, and she's beaten around the top 10 for so many seasons now on tour, and Barça is a really big part of Kasatkina's life. She actually comes out on the court there with her tennis racket, and on the very bottom of that, she always carries with her the Barça crest. It is always there on her racket. That is what Barça means to her, and she's often been seen at matches in and around the club. She even appeared on the Barcelona YouTube channel, and she also has, by the way, a fantastic channel on YouTube of her own, documenting her life as a tennis player. That really makes you understand the demands and the pressures of this sport. I would definitely recommend checking that out. Before we move on to a much more experienced player right here in the tennis world, let's talk about Milos Raonic, who is a 33-year-old big-serving Canadian who is indeed a Barca fan. He confirmed that publicly in an interview many years ago. He said, look, I'm a big fan of Barcelona. And Raonic, in his day, in his prime, he was an absolutely top player. He went as high as number 3 in the world. He was a Wimbledon finalist back in 2016, where he lost to Andy Murray. But he has been making a comeback of late. He's had lots of injury problems over the course of his career, but he's come back and he's looking to keep fighting. And that is really a consistent theme in tennis there. Players pushing their body to the absolute limit. And he actually put up a really good fight just last week in Rotterdam against Jannik Sinner, who is winning everything right now. But unfortunately, Raonic had to retire in that game. So let's hope for him there that it's not more injury woe. Which, speaking of injuries, we have to talk now about Andy Murray. He is a 3-time Grand Slam champion, which, by the way, to be playing in your prime in the era of the big three, it's an unbelievable achievement to even win 1 Grand Slam. With those 3 guys around, Murray has done an incredible thing there. He's also reached number 1 in the world as well. Now, he is a Hibernian fan from his native Scotland there. His grandfather actually played for the club, so that's naturally where his allegiance lies. But he does have a real soft spot for Barca, and he's made no secret of that there. He actually came out to train and live in Barcelona when he was just 15 years old there. He spent a lot of time in the city. He went to so many Barcelona games, and he's actually spoken many times about his love of Ronaldinho there. And I can actually compare it there to my own feelings of him too. He said he was his absolute favourite athlete growing up to watch, and apparently he said there that he got to watch him so many times live, and he would actually get to the games. He would actually get there early just so he could see Ronaldinho warming up, doing the tricks that he can with the ball. I bet that was absolutely amazing to see. And the most incredible thing, by the way, guys, about Andy Murray right now, with everything that he's achieved in the game, with the heights that he's reached, he had to undergo hip surgery where he was told, you will never play again competitively. And yet, at 36 years old, he is back now. He is fighting every week on tour, pushing his body, trying to still be at a competitive level. And after everything he's achieved, he's got all the money that he could want. He's got all the titles that he could want. And yet he's still out there playing because of that love for the game. And this is the kind of mental strength that I'm talking about here when you are thinking about tennis. And when you are thinking about Barca legends, when you are thinking there of real connections with the club, I've got to give a special mention today to Victoria Azarenka. This is a 2-time Australian Open champion in 2012 and 2013, former world number 1, really likeable character on tour, incredibly passionate, and not only when it comes to tennis, because why I'm mentioning her is, this in my opinion is the biggest Lionel Messi fan in tennis. She is such a passionate Argentina fan, even despite being from Belarus, and you can often find her tweeting during Messi matches there, during moments of Messi magic. She absolutely adores him, and her son, which she took time away from tennis to have and has now come back, is even called Leo. And she has taken her son to see Messi live on so many occasions, every available opportunity to see him, she is there with her son, and I think it's absolutely fantastic there. So those are some of the players that have real links, real connections with Barca, and maybe if you are new, like I say, you might like to look into these players a little bit more because of those Barca connections, because when you are starting out in a new sport, everything's a bit new, everything's a bit unknown, it's good to have something a little bit familiar, and all of these people here have those connections to Barca, as of course we do here on the channel, and I do hope you have enjoyed my first proper video here on Talk Tennis today, guys. It really means the world that you're tuning in, that you're enjoying it, that you're excited about my plans here to come, and thank you indeed for all being along on the journey. There's lots more coming up, big videos on the way for you, but thank you, like I say, for all of your support right here on Talk Tennis.